Hi, and welcome to episode number 72 of the Introvert Biz Growth podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. I'm Sarah Zinacroce, and I'm so happy that you're spending this time with me today for another episode. How are you? It's already February. Time flies. I hope your first month of the year went great. Personally, I'm very happy with it. I think I mentioned before on this podcast that I'm not really a winter person, but January is my birthday month, so that kind of helps a little bit. And we've been going up to the chalet in the mountains to get some nice sunshine every other weekend, so not too bad. Well, today I have another great interview for you. I'm talking to Rob. Rob Goyette has been in the coaching space since 2007. He supported many of the leaders in the coaching niche with their technology and marketing. In 2014, Rob decided to build his own business by building a list of coaches and small business owners and helping them market their services. It grew to a six-figure business very quickly. Rob lives in Colorado Springs with his wife and two sons. Here is my conversation with Rob. Hi, Rob. So good to hear or see you again.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, you too.
Thank you. I was so excited when you accepted my invitation. I'm like, oh, I did not know that you were an introvert, and we kind of knew each other through other stuff that we worked on together. So I was like, oh, okay. And so somebody else, Milana, who was on the podcast before, she's like, yeah, Rob is an introvert. I'm like, oh, great. All right, let's talk to him.
Yeah.
So tell me, besides the official bio that I just read, tell me, about your story, how you started your business, and how you as an introvert, how that felt kind of building your own business.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, before I started my business, I had a job like most people. And I really noticed that in my day job, I would find myself trying to be in situations where I didn't have to be around other people. I would come in at work and work at night and then be unavailable during the day. I had that flexibility in that job. So I kind of noticed that I had these introvert qualities. And I don't know, this was maybe back around, 2000, probably right around the year 2000. And so but a cool new concept was coming into the awareness of a lot of people, which is internet marketing. And I thought, oh, wow, maybe I could just make money by sitting at my computer. I wouldn't have to talk to anybody, wouldn't have to do anything. I can just sit at the computer and make money that way. That was really appealing to me. So I started playing around with that, and I got pretty good at making money online through what's called affiliate marketing, which is essentially recommending other people's stuff and letting them take care of all the customer service and the everything else. I just send them leads. And that was very cool. I still had my day job back then, and I was just kind of getting to learn internet marketing. But the way that I transitioned into what I do now is, I became friends with a guy that some of you may know. His name's Christian Mickelsen. Mm-hmm. And he and I became friends, and we decided to work on some projects together around internet marketing. This was before he really was well known in the coaching space like he is now. Right. And we wrote a book together and tried a few things, and it was successful and fun. And really, bottom line though is it made us good friends by working together. And so after that, I kind of went back to what I was doing. He went back to what he was doing, and he had built this coaching training business. And so he was letting me know about it, and I thought, oh, well, maybe I could join your team. Maybe I could be on there and help you with some of the marketing and stuff. And he said yes. And I actually ended up spending 7 years on his team, behind the scenes, like a good introvert, but helping him with his marketing and his technology and things like that. But over time, I did get to know a lot of his peers, and a lot of them ended up hiring me also to help them with their technology and their marketing. And it was around 2014, I decided, it's great helping all these coaching leaders with their businesses, but what if maybe I should consider building a business? And of course, the introvert concerns kick in. It's like, well, I don't want to be on stage holding live events and doing this and doing that. But maybe I could create some programs that would teach, in this case, coaches how to market themselves. And so I started off I created a course on how to do automated webinars, which is really great because then you don't even have to be live in front of an invisible audience. You can pre-record it, right? So I taught how to do automated webinars, and I did that for a while, and I still do that. But I also, over the course of time, figured out a new coaching model and really focused on that. This coaching model, it's a way for coaches to deliver laser coaching. This is 15-minute laser coaching sessions to their clients. So if you're uncomfortable as an introvert, even speaking one-on-one to someone, this laser coaching allows you to coach people in just 15 minutes and then get the heck out of there. You can send them homework to work on and wait for them to schedule their next call. So I guess, Sarah, that might be a long answer to your short question about how things got started, but I think I've hit most of the high points.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds like a great story for, the typical introverted business, right? It's like you went from behind the scenes to then on the scenes, but yet still kind of doing your thing just behind your computer. So you have now your own business, but you're still doing it your way and according to your rules. And so this laser coaching that you teach, I guess, other coaches, are you also doing that for yourself in your own business?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely have laser coaching clients. When I first came up with the model, I enrolled over 50 people. That's 50, which is a lot. Is probably closer to 60 or 75. But one time I hand counted 50, so I knew I could safely use that number. But it allowed me to work with a whole lot of people, but really in these bite-sized chunks of 15 minutes. I loved it then, and I love it now. Right now, though, I'm focused on talking to people even less by creating a lot of info products, a lot of courses that teach various models and things I've come up with. So I do have clients. I have one, what I would consider like major client where we talk for 1 or 2 hours at a time. But I also have lots of little laser coaching sessions that I do with clients as well. So yes, I am still doing the laser coaching, but my focus is really on creating courses and programs.
Right. So I guess you just basically answered the second question is how do you generate revenue? So you have info products, you have the laser coaching, you do some one-on-ones with, you mentioned this one client. So that is where they get access to you directly, correct?
In fact, if I had to look at my 2 biggest income sources in my business, one of them is from the products I've created and the automated webinars that teach and sell those products. And then the other way is I do a lot of VIP weekends with clients. And this is one-on-one time for like 3 days, which is much more comfortable to me than being on stage for 3 days in front of a whole audience. I do a lot of VIP weekends one-on-one with the client, and I think most introverts can relate that one-on-one isn't quite as difficult as perhaps speaking to a group. In fact, speaking to a group, it was back when I was in my day job. By the way, I worked for a school district. I was their technology director. And I noticed that I didn't really mind standing up and presenting to a room full of people if I was the teacher, the authority, the leader. And I didn't mind having one-on-one conversations with people, but where I was most uncomfortable was in our administrative cabinet meetings, where it was the superintendent and 2 assistant superintendents and a handful of other high-level people. These cabinet meetings, I just dreaded them because nobody was really the leader there. I suppose the superintendent was the boss, but we went around the room and shared where we were in our departments, and that used to just really, really upset me, and I really had a lot of trouble getting up the courage to attend these more intimate meetings. And the reason that I mention all this is I realized, hey, I'm great. At least my personality is great working one-on-one with people. Like talking to you right now is no problem at all. But it was those small, intimate groups of 5 or 6 people where I really became uncomfortable. And later I realized that it was if I was not the leader. So I've led small masterminds, small groups of people. And if I've got the spotlight, I'm okay. But if we're all talking as equals, I become a wallflower. I just I sit in the side of the room, trying not to get called on that. So anyway, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, but that is really interesting, and it's so important that we do the work and analyze, where do we feel comfortable? And it's interesting that on this podcast, I really think there's about a 50-50% of people who say, I'm an introvert, but I feel totally comfortable speaking about a topic that I'm passionate about. even on stage, even with a huge audience, as long as I am the one in charge and I am passionate about the topic, then I don't have a problem with it. The other 50% are like, oh no, that's not me. But for me as well, I've noticed I hate networking events. But if I am the one speaking and leading, then it's a different story. Then I can deal with it, because then actually people come to me afterwards, right? I don't have to go up to them. What I really found interesting, though, and I haven't thought about that, is when you mentioned these small kind of peer-to-peer meetings. I guess I just don't have the opportunity so much, maybe. Well, if I think of it in the mastermind that I'm a part of, again, that's online, so maybe it's not comparable anymore. But yeah, I can see that in a work situation where you have a meeting with peers, you just don't feel as comfortable speaking up because I don't know, are afraid of being judged or less than or something like that.
Well, and the other factor there that it took me a while to realize this, but was, in those small 5 to 8 person meetings, I was really spending a lot of my energy and feeling nervous around trying to say the right thing that would be okay with all 8 people in the room. Like when it's one-on-one, I can kind of tailor how I say things to the person that will resonate with them well. Yeah. And if it's in a crowd of people, then I just talk about what I know, and I know some of them will disagree, and that's okay. But when it's 7 or 8 people, there's room for anyone to object or speak up or challenge me. And so I found that those situations where there's between 5 and 8 people in the room, where each one, they're a peer, so they can easily speak up and disagree or challenge me. Yeah, those are the ones where I really got the most nervous.
Yeah, and I think it's not just challenge you, but as introverts, sometimes, I don't know if that's your case, but a lot of introverts are also highly sensitive people. And so I know for myself, that's the case. So when I'm in a room, I actually feel into other people's emotions. And so I feel when there's tension, and I just want to disappear and, hide under the table rather than actually voice my opinion, because I already know there's a tension between, this person and this person. And so I think, you just made me realize that that's why I don't like it either, because I don't know, if everybody in the group actually agrees or not. Where one-on-one, you can kind of feel into the person and then adapt your speech. Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. And by the way, Sarah, you just reminded me of something, or at least this idea came up while you were talking, that I think this would be a helpful tip, not only for you, but for anybody listening, that if you find yourself feeling nervous, feeling those, you're up in front of a group, or you're in a cabinet meeting with 5 to 8 people in the room, one thing you can do to channel that nervous energy, this is a really cool technique. I'm building it up a little bit here, but you can take your thumb and your first 2 fingers on your hand. So that would be your index finger and your middle finger. You take your thumb and your index finger and your middle finger, and you make a circle and you squeeze it really tightly. And you can do this with one hand or both. But what it does is it takes that nervous energy and really focuses it right there on your fingertips. The harder you squeeze, the more it does that. And that can then free up your mind to think clearly, where the nervous, hormones or emotions or whatever aren't getting in your way. If I get pulled over by a police officer for speeding, that's the first thing I'm doing is I'm squeezing my thumb and my 2 fingers together.
Seem to have a lot of experience with that.
Yeah. And I'll just give credit for this. I learned this from what's called the Silva method. A guy named Jose Silva has this whole method for tapping into stuff that most people can't tap into. It's really cool. But the one thing that I really got from him, from his trainings, was the 3-finger technique. And I think that'll be a great tool that any of us introverts can use whenever we start feeling nervous.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I would add the tongue at the top of your palate. That's kind of what my husband, he does Taekwondo. And so they do the finger thing as well, because what it does, it closes the circle. So same thing with the tongue at the top of your palate. It kind of closes the energy circle, I think. Nice.
Yeah. I didn't realize they taught that in Taekwondo. That's cool.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, just before, like an important battle or something like that. So it centers you. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wonderful. So Rob, what would you say is your biggest strength as an introverted entrepreneur?
My biggest strength, I'm trying to think of how to answer the question that also relates to your audience. From an introvert perspective, I think my biggest strength is simply acknowledging that I am one. I would go to a lot of these live events, these networking events, and I would just stay in my hotel room the whole time. I'd find excuses like I have to work or my phone's broken and I need to reinstall it or things like that. But once I really just started letting people know, hey, actually, I've got some social anxiety. And if I go to an event, I usually just stay in my room and work. I think sort of coming out as an introvert may be one of the biggest strengths, because a lot of people understand it. People understand it more than we might realize. So simply not trying to hide the fact that I'm introverted, I think might be my biggest strength in business. And another reason that it's such a strength is that when we, quote unquote, come out of the closet from being introverted, it makes us more authentic and more real. And people buy from us when they trust us. And if you can open the curtain, or whatever the metaphor is, if you can let people know that you're vulnerable in this area, you become more authentic and more trustworthy. And ultimately, it helps you make more sales.
Yeah, I agree. It's just about explaining, and sometimes people get it, and sometimes you still have to explain, no, I'm actually not shy. Some introverts are shy, but others are not. It's not the same thing. I just get my energy from different events than extroverts would. And then people go, oh, wow, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, okay, fine, I understand. So yeah, you're totally right. What about the challenge that you still see running your business now? What do you sometimes wish, I wish I was better at that maybe you see extroverts being better at?
Well, I mean, I know how much money people can make by leading a live event, and same thing with a product launch. So that kind of extroverted behavior, I see how much money it can really bring in. And I've scratched my head and thought, should I just kind of push my stuff aside and try to make my stuff work into this model? And what I've realized is that no, I'm better off doing the stuff where I'm at my best, which in this case, is working one-on-one with VIP weekend clients and creating courses for people to go through, and having one-on-one calls on Zoom, for example. So I don't know if it's a weakness or an opportunity or whatever, but yeah, I would love to have the money from live events and product launches, but I definitely would not want all the discomfort associated with them, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I guess it has to do with comfort zones. And we all hear all this talk about you got to get out of your comfort zone. But, I'm always thinking, really, do we do our best work when we're out of our comfort zone? I think it's good to push ourselves. Yes. But if we're constantly outside of our comfort zone, then I think we're not actually doing our best work.
No, in fact, I would vote for trying to be in your comfort zone as much as possible. Go ahead and set goals outside of yourself. What do you want to earn and how do you want to spend your time and things like that? But then think, how can I do that in my comfort zone? And another way to maybe frame comfort zone is where I'm at my best. I am at my best early in the morning when I'm in front of my computer and I don't have any calls that day, and I can just really focus on creating content and running my business. I know that I'm at my best then. And so that's, I set my goals and strategies around how I can accomplish things when I'm at my best, instead of how can I make myself more uncomfortable by breaking out of that comfort zone. Yeah,
exactly. And, you were in the early years, Christian Mickelsen, he's definitely an extrovert, right?
Gosh, I haven't really thought about it from that standpoint.
He appears to be an extrovert. Sometimes we can fake it.
I would say that he is, by the definition that extroverts get their energy from being around other people, and introverts get their energy, and I'm saying a majority of the time, but get their energy from being alone. He's actually the one that explained that to me, and I thought that was pretty cool. But if I really think about Christian, he would always have us attend team meetings in these groups of 5 to 8 people, and that would actually feed him. That would get him excited and going. It does the opposite for me. Yeah.
So I find it really cool that even though, for so many years you've seen this extrovert running a successful business, you realized this is not what's going to work for me. I'm going to have to find my own thing going that's going to go well for me. Because sometimes we can be intimidated by always comparing what other people have, and maybe I should be doing this, and maybe I should speak on stage, and I should be doing more networking. So I find it really cool that you shared the story of, I've been following the steps of this extrovert, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to build a business just like his.
Correct. And there's a saying that the theft of joy is comparison. When you start comparing yourself to other people who are doing better than you, it usually doesn't make you feel too good. And, it might make us feel good if we're doing better than somebody else in a certain area. But it really, I love the way that's phrased. The theft of joy is comparison.
Yeah, exactly. In one of my courses, I call it comparitis, right? It's kind of like this disease. Yeah, it is really. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about, I call them the 3 golden nuggets. So the first one is a personal habit, something that you do on a regular basis that you think contributes to your success.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to answer that question, and I know the answer to that question. Before we shift over, I have a few notes in front of me, and I wanted to make sure that I shared some of these, and I think it might work well for me to mention one of these here, and that's just confidence on video, Sarah. Right. A lot of us introverts, we don't like to have our video cameras on, right, in a call, and I was that way for quite a while, and I got over it, and I just thought, would it be worth it to spend a few minutes to talk about how to sort of be comfortable being on video if you're an introvert?
That'd be great. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. What I did is I just had to sort of explain it to myself in a way that made sense. It's like, no, maybe I don't like the way I look on video, but if I go meet with someone in real life, this is how I look. And so if I just sort of made that comparison, that video doesn't mean about putting on your best presentation necessarily, but really just being yourself the way you would if you were in person with someone, that totally took away all the fear of being on video. And so now it's no problem. When you and I first met on the Zoom call today, we both had our cameras on, and normally, or I guess the old me would have had the camera off. Even for close friends, I'd want to have that camera off. But now what I realize is that on camera, I look pretty much the same way I do in person, and I don't have a problem meeting with someone one-on-one in person. Therefore, being on camera, it's just the same thing. And once my mind connected those dots, I didn't have any more problems showing up on camera.
Yeah, that's such a good tip. And I was kind of like trying not to laugh because my son recently saw a replay of one of the webinars I did. And he's like, Mom, you have like no wrinkles on this video. I'm like, yeah, there's this little feature on Zoom where you can brush up your appearance. So you actually look better on video than you do on.
Yeah. That's great.
It's true that so many introverts do struggle with video, and I just listened to or watched Neil Patel's predictions for 2019, and clearly video is the way to go forward, And so I actually, when we got on the call, I actually just told you, I'm probably going to have to, do video podcasts as of next year. So I'll definitely go down that road as well. So I don't have a problem with video, but it's true that as a woman, it always needs, let's just say, another 10 minutes probably. And I'm not very much into, having my hair done for every video, but still, you still want to look your best, and maybe not how you would look just working from home. So it is an extra challenge, let's just say.
Yeah. So I mean, keep that in mind, especially if you're having like a one-on-one Zoom call with someone or an interview with someone. I don't think you need to dress up on camera any more than you would if you were meeting them in real life. So if you normally put on a little makeup or do your hair a certain way to meet someone for real, just treat the video as the same thing. And that's what really connected those dots for me.
Right.
I wanted to mention one other thing about video, Sarah, and that's that I guess like Neil Patel is saying that video is so important. I totally agree that video is extremely important in a one-on-one call situation for developing and building trust and rapport. If you can look right into your webcam, not at your screen, but into your web camera when you're talking to someone, they feel eye contact, and that gives such a big boost to the rapport and to your trustworthiness. As opposed to a phone call where they don't know if you're rolling your eyes at them or what you really mean when you say okay, that type of thing. But when you're on video, it's much more connecting. And so, if anybody's struggling with video, I would say, do what you can to get comfortable, especially in one-on-one conversations, because your sign-up rates with clients will go up because they can see you more and they trust you more.
Yeah, exactly. I actually have a video course, Video for Introverts, that we did a year ago with Lou Bortone. So if anybody's listening, I'll make sure Tim actually puts the link to that video course in the show notes, because we noticed that it is such a big topic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Lou Bortone, but he's kind of the godfather of video. And so he's a fellow introvert. And so we did a course together on teaching introverts how to be comfortable on video.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Shall we go back
question?
to the question about your habit?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super comfortable talking about it just because in this habit I'm naked, but yeah, I take a bath every morning, a nice warm bath. That's how I get centered and ready for my day. In the tub, I'm usually browsing a website called Reddit, which has all sorts of useful information, news stories, inspiration, that kind of thing. But my daily ritual or habit is to take a bath in the morning. I also have an afternoon ritual that I take a 2-hour nap almost every afternoon. So those are the two rituals that I feel keep me centered and really boost that introvert energy, right? When I'm in the bathroom, then nobody else is in there. When I'm taking a nap, I've got that time to myself. So those two rituals, I think, really help me get my energy.
That's so interesting. I take a bath too, almost daily, but in the evening, it helps me to kind of like flush away everything.
Sure.
So yeah, it's interesting that you do yours in the morning. And I want to comment on the nap because I recently found out, it might have been on the INFJ podcast with Bo Miller, where he shared that introverts, especially INFJs, need more sleep than other people. And that just gave me so much relief and freedom. And I'm like, now finally I understand why I need so much more sleep than other people. And it used to be this topic that people always like to make fun of. Oh, Sarah, she goes to bed so early, or she's always sleeping. And it's true. Like at 10 p.m., I'm tired and I need a good 8 hours of sleep. So I'm curious, if you take 2-hour naps, is that mean that your night is so much shorter, or do you also generally need more sleep than others?
Sure. I'll answer your question, but I'd like to interrupt it with just one quick story. And that's that back when I was on Christian's team, he had flown me out to San Diego to do a multi-day team meeting. And so, right, it's my least ideal scenario where I'm in a room with 5 to 8 people and we're all kind of talking as equals. I'm certainly not the leader. But I remember, I think it was on day 2 of that meeting, we were scratching our heads about how to improve his opt-in rate, the number of people who sign up for a free report when they come to the page. And anyway, I was feeling like, okay, I really need to recharge and get my energy. So I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I go back to my hotel and grab a nap and then come back and join you guys? And that didn't go over too well with the group, but I insisted. I held my ground that a nap would really help. But when I woke up from the nap, I had this idea to take his conversion rate from, I think it was around 30% up to 100%. And this whole idea came to me when I woke up from my nap after being fresh and recharged. And I never would have had that idea, probably, or at least not for a while, not in that moment when it was needed, if I wasn't able to step out of the situation and go recharge. So Anyway, just thought I'd mention that quick story. Yeah, as far as my evenings go, I'm not real consistent there. I'm consistent with my mornings. My morning ritual, it's bath and then work. Well, and then lunch and a nap usually. In the evenings, sometimes I'll stay up real late watching a great show or right now I'm learning how to program apps for the iPhone, just kind of as a hobby that might turn into some profit. So or I'll go to a comedy club, or I'll hang out with my wife and my sons. So sometimes I'll go to bed real early. Usually the earliest is around 7 p.m. Other times I'll stay up till 2 or 3. Because of my nap, I'm getting enough rest. And so that kind of lets me be playful in the evenings and really run my evenings the way I want to.
Wonderful. What about an online tool that you would like to share with our listeners?
Okay, so something of mine that might help. Well, I guess I could point to a couple of webinars of mine. It's true that these webinars sell products at the end, but there's a lot of great information. And I know I've mentioned the automated webinars. If that resonated with anyone listening to this podcast, they can go check that out at automateyourwebinars.com. And yeah, so it's a 26-minute webinar on how to do automated webinars. That's at automateyourwebinars.com. And if anybody liked my idea of the laser coaching model, the 15-minute thing, you can watch that 26-minute webinar at fastrevenuecoaching.com/webinar. So that's fastrevenuecoaching.com/webinar. Those would be two great resources I could share. It's true that they're a little self-serving because they sell something at the end, but I don't hold back with the information, and you really can do it all by yourself without getting my course. It's just that the course comes with support.
Super, great. What about a book that you would recommend to the audience and why?
Yeah. So we talked about this before we started recording, and I realized, I didn't think of a book to share. I don't really read books much anymore. In college, I got into reading books a little bit, read some self-help, read some fiction, but I don't know if it's an attention span thing or whatever, but I'd much rather like watch an entertaining show than read a book. And as far as self-help goes, it's usually listening to podcasts or interviews or that kind of thing. Yeah. So
what kind of podcast are you listening to?
I'm doing this more for enjoyment rather than building my business. But I like the Adam Carolla podcast. He's a comedian and has one of the biggest podcasts out there. I think he's even in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the largest podcast audience at one point in time. But he's a funny guy. He's someone who's real creative, and I admire the way his brain works. So I will usually listen to that podcast just for entertainment or to boost up my energy.
Awesome. I'll make sure to link to it. Great.
Yeah. And he may not resonate with you. It might be just a certain target audience. He caters more to the guys than to the girls, with a lot of borderline comments and stuff like that. So I'm not really recommending his podcast so much as just answering your question that's something that I do listen to where I can laugh and get some energy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's typical introvert that we enjoy that kind of entertainment, right? Rather than going out maybe to a club or, I don't know, pub or anything like that. So.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we're coming to an end here. This has been great catching up with you, Rob. Thank you so much. I always ask the final question, what are you grateful for today or this week or this year, since we're coming to the end of the year?
Sure. And I'm happy to answer that, but I'm going to interrupt one more time if it's okay. Do we have time for me to interrupt with one more perhaps nugget?
Yeah, come on.
Okay. Yeah, I just, as far as like being confident, I wanted to address that because I think, lack of confidence comes kind of with being an introvert, or somehow I bet they're related, or maybe they're not related. But if you have trouble being confident with the stuff that you're selling to people, thinking, is my coaching really worth this much money? Or is my program really worth this? Or, how can I charge that and feel confident about it? I mean, if you're not confident about it, then people will sense that and they'll start to doubt whether your stuff is worth it. And what I found is the way to sort of, I know they say fake it till you make it. I'm not a big fan of that, but what gave me confidence when I first started selling stuff was knowing that I could always give people their money back. So if they did not like what they got from me, worst case scenario is I'll give them money back. And that's what gave me confidence to raise my prices and really, really start selling to people. So I just wanted to share that if you know that you can refund the money, I think you can be a lot more confident in your offers. And by the way, that didn't happen, at least not at that time. I don't remember ever refunding anyone their money, but I always knew that I could, and that really gave me confidence.
Yeah, confidence is definitely a big topic for introverts. I want to just comment on your statement is, yes, I agree that obviously if we act with integrity, we will refund if we feel like the client hasn't been happy with what we delivered. But at the same time, we want to do everything possible that doesn't happen. So we don't go in it with the thought, oh, I can always refund it. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. When I was nervous about selling my coaching for $300 a month and later $500 a month, now it's up to $3,000 a month. But when I first started offering my coaching, I was nervous. I was like, well, I mean, maybe I'm not worth what I'm charging. And so I didn't tell the client, hey, you can always get a refund. But I just knew in the back of my mind that if I screwed up or if I didn't do the job that the client wanted, that I could always say, hey, you know what? I apologize. I thought we could do this, but here's your money back. It never happened, but it gave me the confidence to boldly state my prices. So So I don't know.
What you mean? Really so you don't mean I'm going to be sloppy and, it's not going to do my best, but in your head, you were thinking that's what motivates me to actually go out there and say, yes, I'm worth this much. And that kind of gave you this confidence, you're saying.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page there. So yeah, it's, again, I never had to use it, and I never gave less than stellar performance for people. I always gave my best, but yeah, I knew that if my best wasn't good enough or wasn't worth the money, I could always refund them. And again, I didn't have to, but it gave me the confidence to move forward. And then you start building confidence based on your experiences. So after a while, people kept telling me, oh, you're a great coach. One time Christian called me the smartest guy in the room. And it's like, oh, wow, this really helps with confidence and stuff. But until you have those references, then I think you're at least the tip that worked for me was knowing that I could always refund the money if they were not happy.
Yeah, I get it now. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. It's like, you want to build your confidence, but you need clients to get to that confidence.
Right. Yep. That's exactly right.
Wonderful. So what are you grateful for today or this week?
I think, I don't want to sound too sappy or too corny or whatever, but I would just say my family. I recently did a presentation on everything you need to start and run a business. And one of the things I included on there was family, and just having that family support. Having two sons that understand that I need to get work done and that I'll make time for them as, with where I'm at my best in both scenarios, which in the case of my sons, it would be in the evening. Like, let me get my work done in the morning, then I can be there for you in the evening. Same thing with my wife. And just to have that support of the people that I see every day, I'm really grateful for that. I think it would have been tough to try to do this all alone. So I'm grateful to my family for supporting me in this business. And I'll just also say that I'm grateful to the people who have trusted me to help them with their businesses. Every dollar you make, is coming from somebody else that hopefully you've added value to their life. And so, so I'm really grateful for all the people that have trusted me to help them with their businesses.
Wonderful. I hope they're listening. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful, Rob. And let's stay in touch.
Sounds great, Sarah. Yeah, you and I are getting to know each other more and more, and I really like you, and I like the way you work. So thank you for doing this podcast. I think you're serving a hugely underserved population and audience of introverts, and I think we need to know that it's okay to be introverted and really and to use that to our strength as opposed to quietly hiding the fact that we are. So thank you for bringing this out into the world, Sarah. You're doing a whole bunch of us a really great service with your podcast. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rob. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please find out more about Rob at robgoyette.com. And you can also check out his free report on innovative coaching models. That's at innovativecoachingmodels.com. And he says it's perfect for introverts. So definitely check that out. You'll find this episode's show notes at sarahsenacroce.com/episode 72. It has all the links of the stuff that we mentioned today. And if you are listening to this show on a mobile device, you can click on the description and you'll actually find all the clickable links in there too. This is Sarah Senacroce signing off from the Introvert Biz Growth podcast. Remember, you need to use your unique introverted superpowers in order to